Sup everyone. I want you to dig deep. Think hard. Who was the first character that you really invested into? Was it because you had no other options? Was it because you were drawn to their aesthetics, their playstyles, or the weapon choice, right? Whatever it was. Think back to that, right? And how many of you guys still actively use them on a daily basis, whether it be for exploration or you're like a abyss nerd and you just go in every day and try to beat or shred off the 0.3 seconds from yesterday's run, right? It doesn't matter. How many of you guys still use them? And that's pretty much in part what today's video is based around, because during my last stream I went back to try and utilize my kaching. I mean, like, to really try to use the tools that I have at my disposal nowadays in modern Genshin. I'm talking 2.6, right? And to really see how far I can push this character. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really taken kaching too seriously, and she is indeed my very first 5-star and the one that I've mained for a very long time until I eventually picked up Hu Tao, and also characters like Ganyu and Ito did have an impact on me playing kaching less. Recently, I found this rekindling of some sort to see if I can take what I have right now and apply it to kaching and see if I can push her beyond what I was capable back in the day. And I found something interesting, and that is for characters that don't innately scale up, you really have to put a lot of love and attention to the details. I mean, if you mess up a skill rotation, you potentially will be losing out on a huge chunk of damage. If you don't go super hard on their artifacts and min-maxing stats, you're going to be feeling it a lot more than you would another character. For example, with my kaching, I was hoping I could go in and kind of slap the enemies around, you know, like, really pressure them a little bit and just feel somewhat invincible with the kind of roster I put around her. And by no means is this a cheap team, but truth be told, it was still underwhelming. And this is not a video that I'm going to be sitting here ripping on kaching. It's just a video that made me understand even more the difference between someone even like myself who spent thousands on this game and trying to do the best I can to make characters as powerful as they could be with the resource invested. I still have a long way to go, because compared to me, there is a giga whale, a leviathan that you guys may know or may not know, called Sanzu. And we were blessed by the opportunity to hop on his account, check out his kaching, and of course with C6 R5, it was a different experience. And when I used to tell you guys, the game is balanced around C6 units and potentially R5, as long as none of them kind of steps way out of line at C6 R5, there is something to be said that HoYoverse would not really care about their C0, C1, C2 performance, because at the end of the day, if you go all the way, it's going to be the C6 R5s that matter. And even free-to-play sitting there, you know, scratching their heads right now, C6 R5. What is this foreign language depiction you speak of, which I cannot relate to? I know, you guys might think C6 R5 is so far away, an unattainable achievement. But there was a time as well that even having a 5-star was considered not free-to-play friendly, right? People could not be using 5-star weapons in guides back then, and nowadays everybody wants to know what's the best 5-star weapon for the character. Even free-to-plays are very curious. Why? It's because the standard of what consists of free-to-play player has changed. Nowadays, it's not surprising for free-to-plays to own multiple 5-stars, even potential consolation of 5-stars, alongside with even 5-star weapons for certain free-to-play accounts. I mean, maybe one weapon for 1 out of the 3 or 4 5-star characters you have, and that's including standard banners. But I don't think that's too much to ask for most free-to-plays. So what about a couple years down the line? Do you guys honestly think there will be never a day where free-to-plays are capable of owning C6 R5 characters, right? There is something to be said that HoYoverse balanced these characters around Constellation 6 and R5 to make sure that they're eventually down the line they are future proof and there will never come a day where people feel the imbalance. Can you imagine that you as a free-to-play player forked over, bend backwards, getting just butt rammed by HoYoverse? I'm talking dry humped on hard pavement for like 7-8 years of just collecting and grinding away at boxes that gives 2 to 3 primo gems, only to end up realizing that the character you invested your C6 R5 into is 30% weaker than another character that you were considering to main 7 years ago. And the reason I asked you guys way back at the beginning of your conviction is how many people are playing a character that they actively know is not the best, because you don't need to play the best character in this game. You don't need to chase the meta. It doesn't matter. What matters is how much you enjoy the process of performing a certain combo, how your character look, how their hair falls, or how their cold gaze pierce your soul and make you feel warmth in the coldest winters. I'm talking about love, baby. All right. So the question really is, are you going to be okay 5, 6, 7, whatever years down the line when you finally get that C6 R5 character? You are as content as can be, knowing that the C6 R5 is imbalanced. I feel like most people cannot go through that period of time of grinding and saving. There may be people right now currently trying their best to get C6 Yaimiko. They've decided, slap in the table, I will C6 R5 Yaimiko if it's the last thing I do in Genshin Impact, right? And they start themselves on this journey. How much of that conviction will last all the way until the end? That's why C6 R5 balancing is so important, and seeing and playing Keqing at C6 R5 has made me realize that even compared to a Raiden Shogun, and this is in the same category, arguably in the same role, which is being an on-field DPS, potentially a hyper carry DPS, right? I built them with the same concept and team, made me realize that the C6 R5 is not as far as we think it is. The gap is not as big. Characters like Yoimiya and Hu Tao really just ends up being preference when they're both C6 R5. Characters like Zhao, like Ganyu, even Ito, when it comes to damage, it all kind of levels out. And this, I know, has been proven mathematically, but it really takes playing to understand. And when people say, well, C0 characters feel very underwhelming, I understand that, right? Like, the whole point is for HoYoverse to incentivize you guys to continue pulling for constellations and eventually build up to the sweet spot where you feel either comfortable to stop or go all the way. Listen, I know everybody has their own opinion about Genshin game balance, whether you want more powerful characters every now and then, or you think even Archons shouldn't be allowed to power scale any characters and we should all just forever be on a flat line of character power levels. It doesn't matter what you believe in, just rest well knowing that in time, if you continue to invest, so far there isn't any indication that your investment will not be worthwhile. And I know this is a gacha game, right? I'm sitting here telling you guys, you can spend your primos on the characters you like, knowing that if you do get them all the way to the end, they pretty much are equalized with other characters. And the disparity between Keqing and Raiden is not as big as I originally thought it was. It's still big. There is a gap. She's a standard character. Raiden's the limited Archon. So of course there's going to be a difference. But Keqing was able to hit up to 200,000 with her burst skill. Yes, Raiden C6 R5 can hit up to 1 million, right? So I'm not sitting here telling you guys that it's anywhere close. I'm just saying when both of the characters' kits are involved, Keqing also has her charge attack, right? If you count Raiden's auto attacks and auto charge after her burst skill, you have to count Keqing's elemental skill and charge attacks because that's part of her damage kit, whereas Raiden's elemental skill doesn't really get used for damage. But I can say after testing both characters, I was content somewhat with where Keqing is, considering she doesn't even have a dedicated electro damage artifact set. So we can probably push that another 20%, hopefully, fingers crossed, when she does get her set. With that being said, that's my honest thought about this situation. The game balance is impressive in Genshin, to say the least. And thank you again to Sanzu for allowing me to even get on your account and try out these C6R5 gems of characters that I currently just don't have the financial opportunity to taste myself. And I hope this video has really opened some people's eyes when it comes to what the game balance is really after, and why maybe some characters C0 just feels inadequate. But know this, in the end, it does all even out. But that said, name's EroticWalruss. Thank you guys for sticking around, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay safe. Peace.